everyone, it's Anya here and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks Crochet. And today we are making a cat bed, or what they call a cat donut. And as you can see, she is in it here, but of course the question is she going to use it now that it is actually finished? But never mind, I'm going to show you how I made Layla's cat bed, and I hope you will enjoy the video and I hope you will try and make it as well. I have here some Aran yarn. I have a selection of colours, so I have fondant, burgundy, emperor, raspberry, pale rose, pomegranate, watermelon and pure purple. And I am going to hold all my strands together, so I'm going to use a 9mm crochet hook, and this is an ideal stash busting project. You could also mix some thicknesses, but make sure you have a reasonable thickness of yarn with a hook that really is almost too small for all this yarn, because we do want to create a sturdy type of fabric, not too loose, not too stiff. It needs to give a little bit, but even so it needs to hold its shape. So I'm going to get started with a magic circle. So I'm going to hold the yarn in your hand like this, wrap it around your fingers in a crosswise motion like this. Then with your hook you go under these strands here. You pick up the back strands, and although I'm saying strands in plural, I am considering all these strands to be one strand that I work with. Okay, you bring back the strand to the front, you turn again, you go back to that same back strand, pull that up again and bring that through the loop on your hook. You now have made a chain and you're ready to start using your magic circle. So here we are going to make sure that we work over the bit where there is more than one lot of strands. So here we have the section of the magic circle where we have our end and the magic circle. So that's where we're going to work in. And so you go into the magic circle, you pull up a loop, making sure each time that you check visually that you have all your strands with you. You yarn over and we do a single crochet. There we go. And I think, yeah, look, I have lost a strand. I knew that happened. So there we go. So now we're going to do this again. So into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. So insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. Insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to pull our magic circle closed. And you count back 1, 2, 3, 4 into the 5th V here. You're going to go under all the strands, making sure, yeah, look, I missed one. There we go. Making sure you pull back all the strands and then you pull them all through the loop on your hook. There we go. So this is the first round of 6 single crochets around a magic circle for our cat donut bed. Now, to start with, we are going to make a flat circle and we have to do increases. Now I'm going to start you off with the way I reason about these increases, and that way you will be able to do as many rounds as you want using my reasoning. So first of all, we have our 6 single crochets. Now in the next round, we're going to double our stitches. So you always start with a chain. This is not going to count. Now, looking at the first stitch of the round here, we're going to place 2 stitches in there. So this is the second round. So we are doing 2 stitches in each stitch around. So you do a single crochet and you do another one in that first stitch. So you go under the V, you create your single crochet and you do that again in each stitch. So from 6 stitches, I'm now going to have 12 stitches. There we go, see? So now I'm going to continue like this until I meet the stitch where the chain is coming out of. And I will meet you there. So I've made it to the last stitch, and this is the chain that we did to start with that's coming out of that last stitch. Now we're going to place our first single crochet in there. And although our chain does not have that much substance to actually be a stitch, we also have to make sure we do our slip stitch, and our slip stitch is going to count as a stitch. So in a way, we're going to not do that second stitch. We're just going to go over to the V after that chain, and we're going to get the V to count as our last stitch. So there we go. So all around here I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 V's. Okay, so this was round number 2 where we did 2 stitches in each stitch. Now round number 3, we're going to get started as we are always going to get started, so by doing that chain 1, and now into the next stitch we are going to get started with our ratio of increase, and for round 3 that means we're going to do 3 stitches. Those 3 stitches are going to be 1 stitch on their own and then 2 stitches in the same stitch, because we count to 3 in round 3. So we count to 3, so we count 1 in the first stitch, 1, then we do a second stitch and we go to the next stitch, so we do number 2, and then the third stitch we are not actually going to go to the third stitch, but we place the stitch with the number of the row in with the previous stitch, so that goes in with number 2. There we go. Okay, so our ratio of increase is 3 stitches, 1, 2, and now the stitch with the number of the row goes in with the previous stitch, 3. There we go. And if you think of it like this, you will be able to do every round of every flat circle with the correct increases. So 1, 2, and number 3 is going to go here. Okay, so this is how you are going to continue all the way until we get to that last stitch, and I will meet you there to explain what we're going to do there. So I've made it to the last stitch of my round. So here I started my increase ratio, so that was my first stitch. Now into that last stitch I'm doing stitch number 2, but of course once again if we did stitch number 3 here in that last situation we would have an extra V in our round, and we don't want that, so we are not going to do the increase in the last stitch here. We are going to consider the V of the slip stitch as our stitch. So this is the chain that we're going to skip. We go under the first V here and we are going to do a slip stitch to close the round. There we go. Okay. So let's get started on the next round with a chain 1. And this is round 4, so our increase ratio is going to be 4 stitches. So into the first stitch you do 1 stitch. And of course we are still, as you can tell, we are still negotiating all our strands, and I'm going to have to come out of here because something is not right. So there we go, let's do that again. Okay, into that first stitch with, no, sometimes, yes, there we go. Sometimes this happens. So this is my first stitch. Something is still not right. Okay, let's redo this completely. Am I in all my loops? There we go. Okay, so I've chained 1. Now into the next stitch, and let's just help along. Voila. There we go. See, sometimes you just have to redo it. So that was stitch number 1, stitch number 2, stitch number 3, and now stitch number 4, as this is round 4, goes in with the previous stitch number 3. There we go. And we start counting again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I will see you at the end of the round. Once again, I've made it to the last stitch of this round here, where I should be placing 2 stitches. I'm not going to. This chain is going to count as my last stitch. I'm now going to do a slip stitch, and that will be my last V that I will need to complete my round. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds completed, and I am now going to keep on going. So use the rule of counting to the stitch of the row that you are doing and placing that in with the previous stitch. So now we're doing round 5. I'm going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and keep going like this until your flat circle, the base of your donut, is big enough for your cat to sleep on. Okay, so I have now done a number of rounds. I will tell you in a moment how many, but my yarn has run out. So I had this circular pad that I had made. All that has gone into my pad here. Now I have this here that I made as well. But of course I do have some of this left, but I'm going to keep that for the end of the donut because, to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be using this. So I am going to be making sure that I use this yarn up as well into the donut, might as well. But here I had DK strands and I had 8 of them. This is not as thick as the 7 strands of Aran, so I have now added 1 strand of Aran to that DK, and I think this is the same thickness as this, so I think that's okay. It's for a cat bed after all, so I'm not going to make too much of it. I think that's fine. And I'm just going to start using it. So I'm going to do my next stitch. This is the one more I have to do before an increase. So you insert and pull up a loop, then you leave the old yarn behind, and instead of yarning over with the old yarn, you're going to yarn over, make sure you hold everything with the new yarn and pull through. And then you pull both your ends, and that will make the stitch tighten up, and we're ready to start going again. But of course now we have all these ends to deal with, so I'm just going to lay them along. It's for a cat bed. Nobody's going to notice that some of these stitches are a little bit taller or a little bit fatter, and it's going to save me some time not having to sew in the ends. So there we go. I am going to start doing my stitches in my new yarn. Here I had to do an increase. There we go. And I'm just going to try and do it really tightly so it doesn't show too much that we have put all those strands in those stitches to hide the ends. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from, sewing them in, but you know me. Any shortcut will do. There we go. Voila! I have started my new yarn. So I have now finished my round. I have done 15 rounds. My pad here is 17 inches wide or 44 centimeters. And I think this is a good size for Layla, so you can do this however, big you need it for your pet. And now we're going to do 2 rounds where we are going to do not enough increases. So I've done 15 rounds. This round here was the increase for round 15, but now I'm going to do the increase round for round 30. So I'm going to count 28 stitches, and then stitches 29 and 30 go together in the same stitch. So for round 16, you're going to do the increase for round 30. And for round 17, you're going to do the increase for round 31. I will see you at the end of those 2 rounds. And this, oops, yes, this is the inside. And yes, it does want to curl up now. Okay, so we have not done enough increases to keep it flat, so it is curling up, and that's exactly what we need. So now I'm going to stop doing any increases at all. So I'm going to do a number of rounds to make it sort of tall enough for my cat to be able to sort of go in and lie down. So let's get started with the chain 1, and then we place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. When you get to the end of the round, you're going to do a slip stitch and close the round, and then you start again with a chain. Done 5 rounds of single crochets without increasing. So in total I have done 22 rounds, and now it is time for us to start decreasing. So that means we're going to do the decrease for round 30. So you get started on your round as you usually do, and this time you're going to do 28 stitches. These next 2 we're going to take together. So you're going to go in, pull up a loop, and then we're just going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop as well. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. There we go. So we have done 2 single crochets, but taken them together we only have the 1 V on top of that, but we have used 2 stitches. So I am going to repeat this sequence of doing 28 stitches and then 2 taken together for the rest of my round and for another round. I will see you then in 2 rounds to start doing the serious increases. So I ran out of the blue yarns, so I'm back to using the pink ones. I have already attached those and done a round, so I'm good to go on that. Let me just put the box down. There we go. So now I have done 2 rounds where I did the decrease for round 30. So now from row 25 we are going to make the opening of the cat bed smaller. So now we're going to pretend that we're doing round 15. So we're going to be doing the decrease for round 15. So that means you're going to do 13 stitches and then 14 and 15 you will take together. So let's get started with a chain 1 and then you do your 13 single crochets. So here I have done 13 stitches. Now the 14th is this one, the 15th is this one, and we finish those two together. There we go. So this is how you are now going to continue, and you keep on doing your rounds, and each time you lower the number. So now we're doing 15 stitches, then you do 14, then you do 13, then 12, then 11, then 10, and so on. Now you have got to remember that you want an opening in the middle, so don't keep going until it's too small. Make sure that you have a reasonable opening for the cat to get in, and as you can see, yeah, it sort of wants to go sort of inwards, and hopefully that will work for our donut shape. So let's keep going. Now, if you get to the end here and it doesn't quite work out, I wouldn't worry about it. So after your last decrease, if you then have a number of stitches to complete, just do those, okay? Close your round and then just start again with your next round, counting to the next lower number from what you were doing before, okay? I ended up doing 31 rounds and I used 1,100 grams of yarn. I used yarn from previous projects which you saw in a previous video, which I was not going to use. So the yarn has been repurposed into a cat bed, which I hope Layla will use. This is the ideal stash buster. You hold together different yarns, you can use different thicknesses, different materials, and you can make a cat bed. I really enjoyed making this for Layla, and the time we had together while I was making it was fantastic. I do hope she will be using it now that it is finished. So I would like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you will be inspired to also repurpose some of those yarns and make them into something useful, even if it's for your pet. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!